了解更多的这种越南的资讯，以及甚至进入到越南这样子。那我们接下来就请伊比把时间交给伊比，让伊比来介绍店哈。
谢谢副总，谢谢副总。大家好，我是伊比。然后对，就是跟刚刚副总说的一样，就是为什么他看到我，就是一直想到印尼，就是因为我是半个印尼人哦，就是所以他看到我就想说，为什么就是伊比在这边要讲越南，就是一个很冲突的事情？但其实也没有。简单跟大家自我介绍一下，就是说，我现在是伊比，我现在是Within 的投资人关系负责人，就是帮忙在 Within 跟投资人这一端去做连接，或者是外部的 partnership 这样子。那有简单的背景介绍，我是在台湾长大，然后但是因为我妈妈是印尼人，所以我在东南亚其实还蛮熟悉的。那其实几次不管说在管顾啊，在国家智库啊做过，后来觉得说就是在上面指挥别人太无聊，然后就跳去越南做新创。那我之前在越南做过管过一家家教公司，所以是在一个瑞典的集团底下这样子。后来就是当然做新创，大家都知道嘛，有赚有赔，失误率非常的高。后来就没有钱了，后来就遇到了天娜，现在就加入他们的团队这样子。那简单跟大家分享一下，说为什么我没有选择印尼或选择越南？我觉得这应该大家每次看到我会第一个问题吧。其实很简单，就是说，其实像刚刚副总讲到说儒教文化这件事情嘛，那其实我觉得不是这样子看嘛，就是说，每一个民族在整个工作跟生活的方式都有他自己的相对的方式。那其实，你只能去找说适合你或者你愿意去调整到他的方式的那个地方去做。所以其实很多时候，你看很多印尼的大企业，其实他们成长也非常的快速。那其实印尼的新创环境也成长非常的快速。只是说，我觉得有一点是值得跟大家推荐，也为什么我选择越南，是因为我觉得越南的每一个年轻人，真的是每一个年轻人在往前冲这件事情上都有很大的力道跟想象。就是说，其实像在印尼啊，就比如说我以前是在印尼大学念书的，那其实都是像在台湾的台大一样，那你就想说，这些人他会是印尼的精英，那你怎么去看这些人？那这些人很多时候他就说，其实我就找一个不错的工作啊，然后我就是很聪明，但我也就稳稳的工作这样子。当然里面有很少的一群人觉得说，我想要创业，我想要改变这个市场，我看到很多的机会。其实我现在也看到很多印尼的案子，就是觉得说，在开发中的经济体里面，一定有很多无效率的。像刚刚 Bruce 跟我介绍说，他们就是做中小企业帮工厂智能化这件事情，那其实很多时候就是一个把无效率变成有效率的过程。那特别在东南亚这个市场里面，这个东西是特别需要的。那印尼里面有一些人在做，那只是说在整个人口基数里面，它的比例相对少。那越南呢，就是也有一群人在做，但是在人口基数比例，它相对比例大非常的多。所以你在那边遇到很多的年轻人，他就会觉得说，其实我做这个东西，我一定可以做比你好，我一定可以做的比你快。那你做这些东西对我来说不怎么样，就是我看到你，我的信心由生，就觉得说我一定可以做得更好这样子。那一个很有趣的小知识跟大家分享，就是说，如果你问越南人说全世界最聪明的人是谁，那大家觉得他们会回答什么？好，Julie 知道，其实是这样，就是说，你在越南如果问这些年轻人啊，那或者问越南人，他们会回答你，如果不是犹太人，他就跟你说是越南人。其实他们对于他自己的自信程度是非常的高的。那当然也必须要给他们 credit 说，因为他们毕竟是一个唯一打败过美国的人，所以就是这件事情上，他们还是做得不错的这样子。那所以就是说，其实你在这样的年轻人这样的环境，然后很多时候大家其实是苦过来的。其实我们这一辈的人都没有人经历过战争。就是我们其实都从在台湾前眼角的那个时代下长大，我们每一个人都长得很安稳。那可是，在越南里面，其实有很多人是20年前他们都过得很辛苦的。我有一些越侨的朋友，你在想说台湾的、美国的华侨，最近 COVID 很多人回来嘛，你看到他的时候，你想象是他其实是过得很好的，所以他那个时候去了美国，或者说至少他是出去念书，或者说他去有个工作，有个机会去那边，然后就在那边安身落地，过得很好。但是其实现在的越南华侨，很多回到越南华侨，他们其实是逃难过去的。我有一个朋友，他是在越战 的时候，然后一路颠沛流离，从南越到香港，他的弟弟是在香港的难民营出生，后来搭着船，然后去到了蒙特楼。所以其实很多时候，你要在这个时代背景下去看他们成长的样子，他们其实过得非常苦，在小时候，即使他们现在是在先进市场里面回到越南，因为对他们来说，其实他们的那个瓶颈其实是相对大的。这就是为什么其实现在我也觉得说越南是一个很好的市场，很值得大家去努力。那也为什么大家问我说，哎，你是印尼人，你会讲印尼文，你在印尼有家人，然后你甚至在那边有一些网络等等，为什么没有去？但我觉得说，哎，其实越南是比印尼，特别在 COVID 这个时间点是更值得大家关心的地方。那好，现在就是废话不多说，那我跟大家介绍一下，就是我的老板Tian，就像刚刚副总讲一样，他是一个 serial entrepreneur。那这边我们就切英文，因为他不太会讲他会讲中文，但中文不是很好这样子。那我们就把它切换成英文。所以Okay, so Andian, now I'm going to introduce you briefly. Andian is a serial entrepreneur from Vietnam, and he actually graduated in Vietnam, not sure which university, but I'm not sure about the detail. But actually, he started his startup journey since he was 20. So in the second year in the university, a sophomore year, and he was not really focused on studying. Okay, so he actually jumping to start his own business back to that time. And actually, he was quite successful for several times, and then he exited from the startup. Then he moved to Ireland to study, and now after that, he actually stayed in Europe and stayed with some investment organization. So after, I think it's a couple years ago, he came back to Vietnam and become an investor there. So as an angel investor, that's how I met him. And start with it last year. So now I pass my time to you, Andian.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to join the event. And my name is Tien. I'm from the Within Incorporation. I would like to say thank you to DG Times to give us a chance to get in touch with the Taiwanese entrepreneurial ecosystem. And also thanks to our friends here, Slastify, to support us in this event. My background is venture investment, and I have been managed some fund. Our asset under management is 500 million euros, backed by the Central Bank of Europe. And we used to invest in mostly deep tech company, including biotech, renewable energy, and Internet of Things is what we focus on. I used to be an entrepreneur, as Evie has mentioned, and I exited from my my company before. For now, when I come back to Vietnam after just a few months ago, just before the pandemic, I realized that there's the gap in terms of investment in Vietnam between the entrepreneurs in Vietnam and the investor around the world. So that's why we create Within, which is an investment platform where we use AI to track for the behavior and try to find the good deal for investor, as well as help them to do the portfolio management well. And the reason why we hold in this event today is that we try to introduce more to the Taiwanese ecosystem, the Taiwanese community about the current situation of the Vietnamese investment. And also we try to give you more numbers, more data about what happened in Vietnam and what will be next. How can we expect from that, and which actions we need to do. So I will start right away to some part, which is I will share the screen in here. If you can see my screen, there's some numbers about Vietnamese economy. So if we look at the land area, it's around 330,000 kilometers square, which is 10 times bigger than Taiwan Island, if I can say. And the average annual income is quite low, actually. It's average. It's just 2,700. And the working age is what that we can, focus on. because it's like 58% is in working age, and the average age is 32, which means they can earn money and they can pay, they can buy, the purchasing power is high. So what we can focus on. And the population, look at the population, this is 96.5 million, and it's growing. So that's why we can have a look at the big market, this one, the growing numbers of people that in the age that can pay, and also they got the high population. Compared to Taiwan, and as I remember, it should be 3 times more. And also because I work in Ireland, it's also an island in next to the UK. So we face something quite similar to Taiwan, to Taiwanese economy. In Ireland, we got just 4.5 million people, but we make an GDP is quite high in the top 30 biggest country in the world. So we recognize that there's a burden for us to take the monies outside of the city, outside of the country, because anyway, the country like Ireland, like Taiwan, there's some limitation. We cannot just focus on our mainland. We need to, go to further, invest further to somewhere else. And when we look at Vietnam, it's like the FDI capital, which is 38 billion in 2019, which means that not very much if we compare to some other country in Europe or even in Asia. So there's still be more potential for investor in this market. About the GDP, as the VP of Mr. VP of DigiTime had mentioned, it's kind of high GDP and it's growing even in the pandemic. The inflation is not very high, and we can see that it's kind of a very nice feature in this number. And come to some other data, we can see that 75% of the country is mountainous, which means we got mountains and forests, and along with that is some resources that can use for agriculture and a lot of things. And the cultivated area is, as you see, is help the country to produce more agricultural products, and it leads to some potential, like we used to invest in Internet of Things. We invest in the automated cultivation solution for the country, where the technology is not very high level. So there's a chance for agricultural company to get in. The climate is somehow similar to other Southeast Asian. With the monsoon dawn, and is the weather is somehow very hot in summer, and also it's rained a lot. But I must say that compared to Europe, Vietnam do not suffer from the long winter. So that's why the efficiency of the company may be pushed up. And we have some numbers about the import and export. Something very relevant to Taiwan is that just a couple months ago, Foxconn invest hundreds of millions of dollars to Vietnam, just right in the central province of Vietnam. And that make in Vietnam, that make the hardware industry will become bigger in the future. And also, if we look at the export number of telephones and parts thereof, we can see that it's a bigger thing, more thing that Vietnam export to the world, thanks to Samsung, the Korean giant. And they also import a lot of computer and electronics thing. They also export them. Before, Vietnam is very famous of textile, garment, and footwear. But in the future, the government tried to replace that with something more innovative and something less polluted. That's the future in this country. And again, the GDP that Eric has mentioned very clearly, so I will skip this part. We have looked at the free trade agreements. Vietnam is the one that signed so many free trade agreements. And from my point of view as an European, we see that the EU FTA, the free trade agreement, will help us very much. And that means we try to bring more investor from Europe to Vietnam. And again, when we look at the country where a lot of investors around focus on that, there's more chance for early investor to exit to the late investor. So there's a chance for the community of venture investment in the country. And alongside with those kind of free trade agreement, there will be a chance for the one who want to open factory and produce something in Vietnam and export to these free trade agreement done. And if we have a look at the EVFTU, European and Vietnam free trade agreement, we can see that in the future, just in a couple of years, I mean 5 or 7 years, the tariff lines will be taken down, and it's equivalent to more than 70% of the export turnover of Vietnam to the EU. There's very potential market because when I stay in the EU and we invest in countries around in the EU, we must say that alongside with the US, the EU's got the very high purchasing power. That's very potential. And in the time that we have a limitation in the island like Taiwan, they may be a good choice if we invest in Vietnam and find a way to export things from Vietnam to the EU. There should be an opportunity. And if we look at the newly registered foreign direct investment in sector, we see that industrial manufacturing is what people really focus on. For example, Samsung, Foxconn in Taiwan, and Philips, they try to open the factory here. And also even Apple, they try to move some of their value chain to Vietnam. Electronics, textile, garments, and building construction, and consumer goods. These FDI is like 16 billion US dollar. But still, there's a lot of potential because that number, if we divide to the population, is not very much in terms of the European view. And who is a country that invests in Vietnam? We have South Korea alongside with Samsung, because Samsung is the biggest deal in Vietnam, the biggest foreign direct investment in Vietnam currently. It's 21%. From South Korea, and then Hong Kong, because the long-term relationship with Hong Kong, China. Even we see that China they invest manywhere, even in Africa, but in the Southeast Asia, then they invest in Vietnam some, and Singapore, Japan, and the rest of the world. So I believe that in the future there will be more players in the this picture, especially from Europe. So alongside with that, some choices for big economy like Taiwan can be tried to look at these numbers. And we talk more deeply into the venture capital, which is my main background also. In Vietnam, venture capital, how is it? We got more than 129 VC funds that focus on the country. And 25% of it is Vietnamese, only 25. Another 25 is Singaporean. 17% is from the US. And the rest of the world is other VC funds. And value of deals per year, last year is 861 million US dollar. And it's even that last year is affected by the pandemic. But anyway, that number is quite interesting number compared to other countries in the Southeast Asian region. And the numbers of deals is more than 100 deals. about the number of startup in the country, we see that innovative startup is just around 3,000. It's still a very low number compared to a country with, you know, like the population of nearly 100 million. And the digital economy in 2025 can be expected to be 34 billion US dollar. And the key industries that people looking at is e-commerce, is online traveling, ride hailing, and fintech, because the country got a huge population, a growing purchasing power, but not many players yet. So VC fund try to find a way to get into Vietnam. Their theory is that trying to find some startup in Vietnam got enough talent to build something similar to what became unicorn in China years ago. And now when they tested it, they recognized that some model that can bring to Vietnam from Indonesia also, like Tokopedia, like Gojek, they can try it in here in Vietnam and get that the leverage of population. And so the numbers of innovative startup will rise in the future. And if we have looked at the numbers of information technology employee in Vietnam, it's nearly 1 million. And every year, the university in Vietnam produce 80,000 of graduated students in information technology. That will contribute to the large workforce of high-tech people. And with those workforce, with the resources that we mentioned, with the market, and also with more investment, this will become the potential for more product and high-tech product to export somewhere else, to the EU or the US. And the numbers of ICT businesses is 30,000. And currently, we've been trying to work with 63,000 of SME in Vietnam. We try to have them to get more fundings, and we try to have them with strategy, how to get them get into other markets. And we recognize that anyway, the economies of Vietnam is the economies of SME, of small and medium enterprises. We need to focus on them. And the numbers of VC fund that we forecast in the future should be grow up to nearly 200 in the next 5 years when they have looked at this area. About outside of the VC fund, we got some other group of angel investor that we follow the model of many other countries around. But the picture of angel investor in Vietnam is that they do not recognize the real venture investment strategy. And also they do not know much about the definition. So the angel investor in Vietnam is kind of not really focused on those. What the people in Vietnam try to invest in, real estate, in gold, in stock market. Some people buy bond, but that will not be the thing that can boost the country forward. And also they do not have enough model to, you know, try a good way to invest in the venture way, because venture capital is something very new to the country. So that's why we try to approach and talk more with the VC in other countries. For example, Taiwan, so that we try to get them into this opportunity to the country of Vietnam to exploit that. So within this picture, we should recognize that the economy, especially the digital economy, will grow very fast in the future in Vietnam, as Vietnam as a main market are also exporting, is what we try to say in these things. And also, if we look at what is the strength of Taiwan, in my opinion, the strength of Taiwan is hardware, and also the long time that you guys have developed the technology. you know how to manage the technology, you know how to find a good way, the good business model to monetize the technology. So I believe that it's the right time, and it's also a good choice if we have looked at Vietnam as a potential market to invest in and also to do business with, because there's a potential market here. So even startup in Taiwan, there's still be a lot of gateway to get into such a big population, to test your model, to test your product, and also to monetize your model. So this is just some numbers and some data about the picture. In the next part, I believe that Evie will have you to get more detail into the daily activities of doing business in Vietnam. Thank you very much for this part, and I will let the stage to Evie. Thank you very much.
Now it's my time to tell you my experience in Vietnam. While we wait for the my deck, I think let's wait for that. Okay. So anyone got any question for Onion from what he said earlier? Any thought? You can keep your questions, like we have the Q&A session later. And for those joining online, if you want to ask a question, please type your question in the chat, and we will. I will read out your question and then address to the speaker. Okay. Okay. So hi everyone, I'm Evie, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm the head of investor relations in Within, and also an ex-founder in Vietnam, right? So my previous experience was that I was a managing consultant, and then got sick of the strategy and decided to jump into operation. And then I realized that actually doing operation is a lot of fun. There are lots of detail, also it's a bit annoying. But as a foreigner, actually it's not easy, to be honest, to step into the new country where you don't speak the language and you need to manage the team. So, and here I'm going to share my sweaty experience and just like a bit messy experience with you, that what I learned from the time I operated a company in Vietnam and also work with my colleague now in Within. Okay. So here, actually, why I'll start my sharing from culture part, because I believe that is probably the most difficult part for anyone. Because what I will share later is all about like a regulation and policy, or this kind of HR thing. It's a thing that you can mimic and you can learn, or you can even copycat a consultant, and they'll solve your shit. But in the culture part, as a boss or as a manager, that is the tricky part. So I think that I will spend half of my time to share my experience and on the culture part, and how you actually can make your first step in Vietnam without, as suffer as I was. So it's a bit about me. I was working in China before I moved to Vietnam, right? So as you guys all know that Chinese people like to confront people, right? So they argue with you all the time. And I mean, it's really uncomfortable for Taiwanese. I would say most of the people, because we are just that polite. Normally when we talk with others, we leave a buffer like 20%, right? So you are here, I'm there, and then we kind of like, okay, yeah. 心有戚戚, and then we find a middle point that we're comfortable with some ambiguity in between. It's okay, and then we feel like always bring into sabisu, or just like, yeah, just like, it's okay. So we leave a big space there, right? So just like, and we assume people do that too. And then when you work in a different country, especially in China, or even, I realized that in Vietnam too, because when I managed my Gen Z staff in my previous company, I feel like confrontation is something, okay? And just like when you as a foreigner are there and then you feel like, okay, I'm really want to bring up my gentle side. You know, when I learned about management and entrepreneurship, my professor told me that it's all about making your staff happy. And just like, okay. So I always smile to them. And then just like, yeah, I hope that I'm happy and you're happy. And in the end, I'm the one that's not happy. They're very happy. So and then I realized that, okay, no, actually, there are sometimes you need to say out loud and just like really set the rule. There you confront people. It's just like, okay, I think it's kind of like the management 101 for anyone trying to manage people. But in Taiwan, especially if you're facing someone more senior, I think you don't need to do that often. But in Vietnam, such a young country, people are like, hey, you need to manage Gen Z. I mean, just like Gen Z everywhere. I guess it's not that easy in Taiwan too. But I would say that when you go to another country, then you need to do that more. Then when you actually engage with others, you need to set the rule very clearly and then need to justify for yourself all the time. And you need to be ready mentally for that, actually, because it can be very tiring for us, right? It's like, lots of times, oh yeah, I hate it. It's like, I really hate, there was some time when I run my previous company, I really hate to have the conversation with my staff, because I know they're going to confront with me. And they're just like, every morning I would wake up and just like, yeah, I hate my job. But it's just like, as a boss, you have to do that. And then I want everyone actually be ready for that and feel like, okay, this is just part of the culture thing, and you just need to get used to it. Okay, and that will really help you to start your business well in there. Because back to that time, if you kind of like, okay, we have a consensus on that, but without really implement it or really confront people, hey, it's the time we need to move on, then the process can get dragged longer and longer and longer. So make sure you're ready on that. Just like, that's why I think that's the key thing I want to share. If there's only one thing I want everyone to remember from today's sharing, they'll be there to confront. Second, minus similarity. Actually, just as Eric said earlier, we all under the 儒教文化, right? So just like China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, we all have this kind of culture that we respect senior, okay? And in Taiwan, we don't use 您 so much anymore, right? Just like, sometimes I even feel so fake. It's like, it's so weird to like say 您 to others. It's like, nah, just like, always say 你, right? But in Vietnam, in their language, there is a very clear similarity in the language. So there's brother, older brother, An. That's how I call my boss, Tian, as An Tian. And then Ji, like Jie, right? So An 是哥, Ji 是姐, and M 是弟弟或妹妹. So it's very clear when I address to anyone, like I talk to Darren, it's like 哥. Just like every sentence I call him 哥all the time. Just like, and by that, you set the similarity directly to the person. And when you go to the client, you assume they are a bit senior than you. So you'll call them An or Ji, just like you'll call them 哥 or 姐 at the beginning. And for those people, if you know that they are actually older than you, just pretend you're older than them. It's okay. It's okay. Because they will pay you way more respect than that. Because if you are younger in that culture, it's not that easy for you to argue or even confront like what you said, what I said earlier, right? But also at the same time, it's a very interesting story for my previous company, is that my staff is super young. On average, they are 25, I guess, just like 2 years after graduate from university, or some of them even just in the university. And we are in the tutor business, which means that we deal with the parents, right? So all those parents are at least 10 years older than my staff, right? And then my staff need to confront them or need to argue with them because they don't pay. Okay, so that is very tricky, huh? So you just like, you talk to them, I'm sorry, G, I'm just like, the bill has been, like outstanding for 6 months, and will you pay for us, this and that? And then it's just that difficult, culturally to them too. My staff is like, they really suck at arguing with the senior there. because under their culture is something really a bit uncomfortable, like to argue. So I do something that's a bit interesting, but that's the point I want to highlight. Sometimes as a foreigner, you need to turn your disadvantage to your advantage. And why I say that is that, okay, as a foreigner, you need to understand their culture, but not really stuck under their culture structure. So you understand it and make good use of it. Why I say that is that, actually, so what I did with my previous staff is that, okay, I trained them, all of them are not allowed to say an, G, or M in the sentence. If you know any Vietnamese, they will tell you that it is crazy. Because you kind of force them to change their language structure whole time, at least in the office. So I told them, from now on, there is no 哥姐弟妹, no. Only me and you, 对，就是我和就是你，就是对是就是平辈，但是很少用，它非常少用，因为在文化在语言架构里面，就是永远都是哥姐跟弟妹这样子。Okay, so I forced them to change it, and just like myself look at me and just like, Evie, you're crazy. It's just like because we share big offices like a co-working space with other company, and then they were just so anxious, come to me and say, Evie, what if people will think we're super rude? It's just like, just like, it's crazy. It's just the craziest thing you can ever do to us. It was like, so let's come to a time that you can leverage your identity as a foreigner. I tell them, it's okay. If anyone thinks that you are rude, and you are free to tell them it's also Evie's idea, I'll carry it. It's mine. Because, I just want to do it. Okay? So just like they hate it, trust me, they really hate it. On my back, they use it all the time still. But at least on my front, they try not to. Or they will get fined like, 100 Vietnam dollars. So just like, I was just try to play some tricky thing with them. After 1.5 months, I realized that my account receivable, the money out there, I need to collect back, come back 30% more. Yes, it is surprising, right? And actually, after 6 months, one of my staff left my company to my friend's company. And then my friend told me, hey, how you train that girl? She's so awesome. She's super short, like 140 centimeters, okay? So it's just like super short. She's grown up and she's 20 years old already, but she's so tiny. So she always like this size. But she's like 小辣椒. She's so loud all the time, and she can manage the whole set. So my friend's company do a partnership with their national airline, Vietnam Airline, for some charity thing. And that girl was in the airport shouting to everyone, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, why you are late, this one, and why you are late, and why you are not really going with this one, and why this is missing, and this and that. She is the youngest person in the staff, but she managed to operate the set. And then I was just like, I got so shocked, because back to that time, I was not really expect that kind of outcome. I just wanted them to try that, hey, forget about it. Okay, you are you. If you know that it's the right thing, argue with me. Why I say that is because that I was new, right? I was new to the Vietnam market. I was like, I've never been there. I never really worked there. I've been there, but I never worked there closely. I don't speak the language. I don't really familiar with the industry as my staff is, right? So most of the time, I really need them to tell me the truth, even if you are doing something stupid. But under that culture, commonly they will not do it. Because they respect you, and then whatever the boss says is right. I think it's similar in Taiwan. But in the startup, I think we cannot afford it. Because we have so limited people, and then we really need to move quick. Everyone needs to prove their value by saying the truth or what is the best for the company. But you need some trick to train it, and just make sure that you mind the seniority and then make good use of it, okay? So motivation. So actually, it's quite common for people to say that, okay, as a boss, you need to motivate them with a carrot or a stick. So let me ask someone here. Well, what is your name?
Elvin.
Okay. What is the idea for you? Just like if you motivate your team by current state?
I think it's encouraging the fun, punishment
Yeah.
at the same time.
So you want to do it at the same time?
Yes.
How about you? What is your name?
Gary,
Okay.
more about Gary.
More about carrot for you? Okay, very interesting. If you ask me, Evie, what is your experience? I would say that no, it's not about carrot or stick. It's about sense of achievement. Because we are talking about, like earlier, Eric said, the VP of this time, or Onion said it, we're talking about super young labor force, right? So it's just like on average, they're under 30, right? And then they care about money. Oh, yeah, sure. I have a lot of conversation with my staff that, hey, you need to increase my salary already. But I think bigger than that, as a startup, if you start there, you don't have a lot of resources, you make sure that you give them a clear picture what they can achieve in 3 months, 6 months. So sometimes they don't know. Actually, if you tell them to do something, they're just like, I'm so lost. So in Taiwan now we wear like a OGSM, OKR, this kind of thing. It shouldn't be just a tool, actually. I find it very useful to manage my staff, because that you give them a clear idea where we're going to be in 3 months, and then what you can achieve from this journey. Because when they are not super clear on what I said earlier, they will not really follow you well. Because they need to get a sense of achievement, just like, just like very clear where I'm going and am I losing, because they compare with others all the time. They can ask them why you are working in that startup while you can go to some, because most of the time we hire the people who speak fluent English, right? And it's just like what my ex-staff, all of them are actually fluent in English, they can work with me, 25 years old. So they get a better chance to work for like accounting firm, KPMG, PwC, or other like the American company or European company, right? And of course you cannot offer them as the same salary as others. But you tell them, hey, we're doing something cool, just like we're achieving something, and because in the startup we can see the outcome in very short time, then they're willing to stay. So I think that is really, really important. Of course, that carries and stick also, like yeah. And now we come to a bit boring part that people ask me, hey, Evie, I want to go to Vietnam and I want to set up a company there. Yeah, and just like, what should I do, right? So just like, and I'm so lost. Okay, so before I start sharing all those details, it's a bit boring, but I want to know that 2 things. One is that there is the official channel. There are some non-official channels, for example, like buying the shelf company or using a nominate partner, but I will not mention that. And I will not recommend you any agent, just go find your agent. I will not be responsible for that. And see, if you don't like it, it's like a heavy capital intense and you need a heavy operation, you can talk to Carlos and he will help you to do something in the easier way. But let's say if your company really want to set up a company in Vietnam, there are 4 types of company you can set up in Vietnam. And here I choose the LLC because it is the easiest one, the most popular one, and you can set up as a 1 founder. So if you have 3 founders, if you want to do the joint stock company, then you need 3 founders and you need a board. But with a joint stock company, you can issue new share. So you need to think about it. Okay, do I want to issue new share? Do I want to get a new investor or not? Okay. So if you say, nah, I think I don't need it. I will be the sole investor in Vietnam, and in the future I don't want to list it in Vietnamese stock market. Then just in very long run, then you can go with LLC, okay? And if not, then you might want to go with a joint stock, okay? But consult with your agent before you make any decision. Now I give you a brief idea and why LLC. So LLC, it's actually Vietnam is quite good on the foreign direct investment in this kind of regulatory. So you can own 100% of the company unless these industries, like advertising, logistics, and tourism, you need a local partner. If you are none of them, I think all of you are not really in that category, then you can own your company 100%. Okay? And what is the process? Let me go through the process first. So before you start the whole official process, I will say find an agent first. Because there's a lot of crazy paperwork you cannot do by yourself. Even Vietnamese need someone to do that for them, together with them. Together. So find agent, and then they'll just like tell you, if you want to, you can have a set of location, because when you register, this actually asks you for a location. But most of the time your agent say, hey, you can set it in your office, it's fine. So you just need to pay them, so it's okay too. But if you want your own space, you can find a location. And then you need a resident director. So when you register a company, you need a director living in Vietnam. It can be Vietnamese, can be local. You can be a foreigner. It doesn't matter that you need someone there. Okay, and all of these are like a finding location, appointed a director. Your agent can help you with that. So just compare with other agent and see which one is the best to suit you. But the whole process will probably go, after you find an agent, the whole process will probably go 3 to 4 months if you want to register it by yourself, all from the beginning. Okay, if you want to start day one as a foreign investor and go through all the licensing, 60 to 90 days. But if you want to do it quick, there are lots of agents that offer it, okay, I already get a shop company there, you can just buy it. Then that can be easier. Oh, there was like, okay, we have the local can help you to set up a company, which only take them 10 days. So you can see compared the time is very, very different. But of course, what I mentioned earlier, there's a risk there. So please evaluate yourself and think about what you want to do. So if you want to start everything from scratch, then you need to get a investment registration certification. So you need to get their approval to invest. Get the money in first, invest. Okay, I got a title to invest. Okay, after you get the approval for invest, then you need to get the license for business registration. Okay, so you're like, okay, I can invest, but what do I invest? Okay, this business. Okay, after you set up, then you need to open a bank account. Then we talked about the capital requirement. So in Vietnam, there's no capital minimum unless this industry. Okay, so just like there like a language center or the training center, like a coding school, maybe you might want to be careful. You might take care of this part because vocation school, not really sure about the definition. But there are some industry that need a minimum. Most of them don't. So you can decide whatever the 资本额 you want to set up. Okay, but make sure there's one thing. So when you set, let's say, okay, I will put the 资本额 as like a $5,000. Then they will register on your certification, and then they will be super tricky to change. And also that you can inject that capital to there, and then after that, they will be tricky to just get more money. So what normally people will recommend you is that, okay, just register money good enough for you to get your revenue going. So you register, put the money there, and then do it. Because that will be quite tricky to just go through the paperwork. Okay, and you need to inject your capital 90 days after you get your BRC, so business registration certification. And then basically open an account, get the money, and then you can get your company going. There's some industry they might get a special sub-license or permit. That's why it's good that you actually set up locally. So most of the foreign investor, they will say that, okay, I will hire the local agent, use a local entity and to set up the whole thing, even get a license, because sometimes it's super easy for a local to get a license and super tricky for you to get one. For example, I used to, in Vietnam, if you want to process the payment online with some a big payment gateway, then you need to have an e-commerce license, and which is super, super tricky to have. And then back then, if my ex-company actually set up as a foreign investor, so there's no way we can get it in the short time after that. We've 100% owned it. But if you are local setting up and you think about it, okay, I might need that, so you get everything prepared, then that will be way easier. Okay? And some compliance thing is like, okay, you need a tax and just get a local accountant to help you with auditing or audit reporting. But one thing I want to highlight your attention is a bilingual contract. So ideally, you have the contract sample for in both language, Vietnamese and English. Okay, and why would that happen is that, okay, you can actually sign in English, but when something happens, then to the courtyard, then they will say, okay, you need to translate that and get notified and then doing this and this, then we can, take this as a serious one. So it's easier that from day one, you set up the bilingual one. And also there's a saying that in Vietnam, they will kind of prefer the Vietnamese version over English version if there's a bilingual version. So make sure that carefully, make sure your staff will not mess up on that. Because my contract with my ex-company was very different in English and Vietnamese. And as a non-Vietnamese speaker, I actually didn't check the Vietnamese part until I realized that it's a bit too late. So be careful on that point, okay? So bilingual contract is something very important. And HR, I think that all of you are just like, okay, I want to start a company in Vietnam. I might want to jump away from, might go bypass the whole setup thing, but you need a step there, right? There's a key. So first thing is that you can get a Vietnamese labor law in Chinese. 外交部 already 翻译。所以大家可以扫 QR code 直接 download 就好了，就是当然，然后这个 PPT 会再发给大家，如果大家需要的话，所以大家可以再回去研读一下，所以这是最新版的。那a couple things that you need to be careful. So where to recruit? For my personal experience, is like personal network is the best because when you post on the Facebook group or job board. Because you're not that famous in Vietnam. So it's just like in Taiwan, right? If your company is not that famous, it's not really easy for you to just even get a talent from even Yidongsi. So it's the same thing. Anyway, and nevertheless, you are the foreign company. So referral, you go to a student club in uni, you recruit some interns, stuff from there, and say, hey, go to some good school there, right? So like FTU or just like, there are some like international school there. So you hire the student as an intern there and then use their network to expand. That will be the best. Next, Facebook group and job board, of course. And now I list down the job board in here, how much money you're gonna pay for per post. Then you can, take good care of that. And you can also post on our Facebook group, just like Vietnam Venture Capital Startup Entrepreneur Investor and Innovator group. So there's our Facebook group. And also there's a job and internship in Ho Chi Minh City. I think there's like 25,000 people inside that Facebook group. So that would be quite useful for you to just get your branding or exposure there. And second thing is that do know in Vietnam, official working hour is 48 hours instead of 40 hours, which means it's 6 days, not 5 days. And from my own experience, it's so nice for you to put the official working hour in their contract for 48 hours. And why? Because you're eating. No, I don't need them to come on Saturday. I don't even want to work on Saturday. But sometimes you might need them on the event, weekend, support, this and that. And just in case there's any not so pleasant conversation, if you put it there, and then it will be easier. So you use it as a 傻逼数 for them. Just like, just even though the official hours are 48 hours, but it's okay. We work 40 hours per week, it's fine. Just like do this. And trust me, it is learn from experience. Probation, there's no more than 60 days. So just like you need to give them, like internship, right? So you can sign an internship and then give them probation. Okay, 60 days. Can I extend? And it's just one position, one probation. So it's a thing. And be careful that the salary part, because in Taiwan normally you will get even lower, like 80% or something. But in Vietnam you cannot. By law, you cannot go lower than 85% of the full-time job position. When they convert from probation to the full-time. But there's one thing that's good is that there's a two kind of contract in Vietnam. One is fixed contract, one is open-end contract. Fixed contract is like 定就是约聘 in Taiwan, okay? And fixed contract you can sign for 36 months, 3 years, okay? So and you can extend one, and be very careful that if you don't extend it within 30 days after expire, then it will convert to open-end contract, which means that it will be very, very difficult for you to terminate the staff. Okay, so there is something that you really want to be careful on. And so that was me before. It was like, I was so busy. I don't have time to take care of the contracting thing. So my HR keep coming in. Either you have to sign it now, you have to decide if you want to keep the person. If not, then they will become open-end contract. Then you cannot terminate them easily or this and that, right? So we all don't want to face that issue, but we really need to be very careful on what is the regulation. And then you stick on that and make sure that you don't mess up on the thing. So I think also the lesson is that manage the expectation on the salary raise. So in Taiwan, I think our raise is so minor. It's just like some of my friends got raised $500, 500块、1000块、2000，1000块 is max already. Actually, after 1 year, normally it's like okay, 一次一下调薪调500这样子。But in Vietnam, because as you can tell, their economy growth is quite fast. So people will not really appreciate your raise for 10% or something. There was one time, my ex-staff, seeing that I actually humiliated her by raising her 10%. Yes. So it's just like, yeah, but I'm really, we're short of capital. We're really running out of money, and I really appreciate her work. So, and it was like, okay, the best I can do is 10%. And she was so pissed. It's like, Evie, how can you do that to me? It's like, it's a proof of humiliation. I was like, okay, and I was at my dad, and then talk to them first when you hire them. Okay, so make sure that actually at the beginning that you set the expectation is okay. We will review your salary after 1 year, and by this category. If you reach that, then we can increase your salary for XXXXX. So make sure that you set up the criteria for them clearly. Don't say that, okay, we will review your salary in 1 year. If you tell them that, then they will think that, okay, you will raise my salary in the market, like every market average. But in the average, sometimes people get super low salary, but they get increased fast, 20%, 30%. So they will compare their salary with others. And there's like, why people got 20 and 30, I only got 10. It's like, it's, not really cool. So make sure that you set up that bar. And this is kind of my short experience on the thing that my own experience one year and working in Vietnam. So please connect with me on the Facebook and email or Clubhouse. And now I will pass the time to Carlos, who has experience on running a lot of office. I have no idea how many offices he already set up, and then I'm sure that he can share his bloody experience on working with the talent all around the world. Let's round of applause for Carlos. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. To be honestly, this is my first time using English in public speaking, so I'll just try my best. Or if you heard anything inappropriate, just leave it, okay? Just leave it, okay. So, just I want to add one point here. In terms of the culture, I would like to share one of my experiences.
You want to introduce yourself first?
Oh yeah, sorry, forgot to introduce. I'm Carlos. This one. I know it's a little bit different, but this is me, my photo. And I'm the founder of Selasify. A little bit background of our company. Selasify founded in Singapore in 2016, and we provide services called EOR, which stands for Employer of Record, for our clients around the globe. So we can, so far we can offer almost 200 plus regions or countries around the globe. So if let me give you one example here. If your company is based in, for example, in Taiwan, and you are going to hire a local talent in Australia, for example, you can use the EOR services to hire that person without establish any legal entity there. So it could help our clients to expand their market more efficiently and with a very low risk. So it's quite a shame that I have to admit that I'm not a master of Vietnam, but I would like to share another way to enter this market more easier. All right. So I would like to share my experiences in terms of the culture part. I think that the culture is a very important thing if you are going to enter a new market. For example, like AV shares a lot of culture difference between Taiwanese or Chinese and Vietnamese, or even I based in Singapore before the COVID, and the entire Southeast Asia or entire ASEAN countries, their culture is totally different. So please don't treat it as one region, okay? Vietnam has Vietnamese culture and languages, and if you go to another countries, for example, like Thailand, they have their own languages or their own culture. Even the Singapore and Malaysia, they have totally different culture and languages as well. So you have to keep that in mind, that if you are going to expand your market into ASEAN countries, make sure that you can fulfill their different cultures and respect their cultures. That's what I want to share. All right. So another thing I want to share is that we all know that if you are going to incorporate a company in Vietnam before you enter that market, you might need to, for example, you might need to find a good agent, and also you need to get all of your function prepared. For example, like your HR function, your finance function, or even the compliance function if your company is a highly regulated industry. So what if you just want to test the market, or you just want to see what you can do in this market? So that's why I'm here to share the employee of record model. If you are going if you need to I wouldn't say try this word, but yes, it's try. If you're going to try this market, because you don't have to spend a lot of money and wait for 6 months until your company established and you can start working, because in the competition, or I wouldn't say competition, okay, the economic growth in Vietnam is very fast. It's very fast. So 6 months is a very long time if you are going to get this market, or to get the market share of this market. So I will suggest you to try to use. Of course, we are not the only one to do this kind of services. You can check a lot of agencies in Taiwan. They can also offer the same services, that you can just go to the job board in Vietnam to hire the local people, and then use this kind of arrangement. For example, the EOR services or the global payroll services. You can hire them as a contractor or hire them as a full-time employee for you. But this employee will be hired by the local entity. For example, they will be hired by Classify Vietnam, for example. And you also have to comply with the local regulations, of course, because we are the employer of record. So if you breach the employer, the local labor regulations, we are the one who sucks. We will have to pay the pensions. We have to pay the fines, or we have to pay the severance payments. So you still need to comply with local regulations, but you don't have to worry about how to set up an entity there, or how to hire your own HR function there, or even your finance function. That's one thing I would like to share. And And in terms of the okay, let me share you another story. Is that most of our clients they aim to get the latest labor market or the labor market practice of the labor regulations in the market. So that's a very important information if you are going to enter into a new market. For example, like we all know that the probation periods, the regulations in Vietnam is that the requirements is only to request you to put it on the contract, and once both parties agree with that date, then you can just pass the regulations, pass the minimum requirement by the law. But you need the accurate numbers of what's the market practice is. For example, like okay, let's get back to Taiwan. Taiwan is more easier for all of us. In Taiwanese labor law, there is no requirements or there is no statement for the probation periods, right? 没有任何有关试用期的规定 right? But usually in Taiwanese company, they will offer 3 months or 90 days for the probation periods. That's the market practice, and that's the very critical information if you are going to enter a new market. So I would suggest you, no matter you choose which way to enter that market, if you are going to establish your own entity there, you can still consult the local HR services, HR agencies to get this information for you, because in our industry, I believe the human resource is a very key function of your business if you are going to expand into a new region. All right, and to be honest, that's pretty much about it. And because AV share a lot of labor laws and labor regulations, so我要讲的都被讲完了。So I'm happy to have some questions if you have, and then we can have more discussion, more details, or more specifically for your case if needed. Yeah, any question or any question from other side around the world? Yeah. Okay. I would like to share you another story from our clients that how they utilize this kind of arrangement with a very high efficient way to expand their market. One of our clients, they are very big companies in Malaysia, and they aim to expand into 5 countries in ASEAN regions. In Vietnam, Indonesia, Singapore, and Thailand, and China as well. And they approach us in about around October, and after 2 months, we help them to establish at least 20 people within these 5 regions. So imagine that if you are going to incorporate companies in these 5 regions, how much you have to spend and how long you have to wait. So that's the very good case for us to as a referral, as a reference, so you can know that how this can help you to expedite your strategies into other markets. Yeah.
Actually, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So, just what is the most difficult part when you set up the foreign company?
Oh, I can share you that for a whole night.
Yeah, but just like highlight 3 points and what people should be careful of. I mean, not only in Vietnam, I'm sure that lots of them have a different plan to go around the world. So maybe you can highlight some around Asia or. Yeah.
Okay. So in some countries, it's not that difficult to enter as a foreigner. For example, like Vietnam is not a very difficult country if you are going to enter. But let's say their neighbor, if you are going to Thailand, the entire incorporation process would be very painful for foreigners because they require the local share, which means you have to almost all of the the foreign investors, they will sign a very complicated nominate shareholding agreements with the locals, or a lot of complicated agreement for the local share, because the government requires local share holding. Or the language will be a barrier as well. If, for example, like we were trying to establish our company in Russia, and the language in Russia, even me, I don't know how to pronounce it, So language will be another barrier. Another barrier will be especially the culture or the efficiency of the government, because if you are not familiar with their process or their how they work that will give you that will be another pain point for if you are going to enter into a new market. So I would say if you are going to, if you have planned to expand market into other countries, you might choose a regional headquarters first. For example, if you are going to enter ASEAN, you should choose maybe Singapore or Hong Kong. Depends on your business activity or business nature. You can choose your headquarters first, and then use this headquarters to expand to expand to other countries. Or, for example, if you are going to enter Middle East, you might choose Abu Dhabi or Dubai for your headquarters, and then you expand to other countries. Yeah, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Carlos has, there's another question from Austin. So, except from time saving, what is the benefit for using your service?
Benefits? Oh, yeah.
Divorce easily.
Yeah. First of all, you can get a HR consultant for you, so you don't have to worry about how will I breach any regulations, or will we be fined by the government? We will provide because we are the real employer in local, so we of course we will require you to be compliant. So we will offer these services for free for you. And secondly, the time and money could save a lot, but depends on how long you use these EOR services. To be honest, I would suggest you to use for only 1 year or 2 years, no longer than 48 months, because the cost will be treated as unreasonable if you use a very long time as EOR services. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If I forgot anything, you can mention that to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's probably it. Now we shift to online back to Tian. Tian will kind of introduce to everyone that our platform, and if you plan to enter Vietnam, and I think sometimes something I miss is that actually when you go to a new market, even though you don't need it, but it's always nice to have a local partner, right? And then just like, because they might have some more friends to open a channel for you, this and that. And I mean, our platform is not really ads, it's also a marketing thing, but I actually sincerely advise everyone actually can get more branding on this kind of platform. So it's just like, okay, I open it, I want to find a local partner with me and who is interested in my business and business nature, and then we can start from there. Because we all know that when you go alone, you cannot go so far, especially in Vietnam or all the developing country. Like for example, my hometown in Indonesia too, right? So just like you commonly get tricked by your partner. But commonly the people will say, yeah, my partner is so good, this and that, and just like they got a super nice relationship with the government, this and that, so you got a special license, whatever. And commonly there's Taiwanese. And then you got tricked. So that's why when I actually go out from Taiwan, I commonly don't hang out with Taiwanese, because I feel like we're so easily trick each other. But what I'm trying to say is that it's always nice to have a local partner who knows things and then partner with you to go together. So that's why that it's our platform. You might able to get your local partner there and get your own branding there. Okay. So now I will let my boss Antian to introduce the platform to you. And then if you are interested, then feel free to talk to me after the meeting, and then we can give you more information. Now we pass to Antian.
Yeah, thank you very much, Evie. And I just want to add more things about this situation. Is that in most of the East Asia and Southeast Asia country, it's take you longer time to get into the new market anyway. For example, in Europe, when we get to the new market, mostly we got enough data because we in the network of Angel. So we understand about that situation and everything go faster. But in Southeast Asia, because of the barrier of languages and also the barriers of cultures, that bring to us a lot of obstacles. So we try to create within as an investment platform. So mostly we focus on two sides. The first one is SME, then another one is the investors. So how we define them? The SME will be the one that got less resources compared to the multinational company. And the investor is including some institutional investor like the VC or private equity or even government fund. And also we got some angel investor in the whole system. So what we try to do is that we connect them both, and also around that we connect the other value-added services. So like Colored and Evie has mentioned, it's good if you can hire some agency to help you, either legal agency or HR agency. It should be great if you have some agency to help you on those. So it's like we try to integrate them into the platform also. And we let the SME to contact others, and also entrepreneurs can find for themselves the founders, the right founder for them. So I will switch to the some demo so that we can see what going on in our design. So currently we try to focus on this thing, which is here we got where you can register for your startup, and also if you are an investor, you can try to do like an investor, and we try to connect them. If you register like an startup, you are the person will be in the board of the startup, and you take responsibility to give the data, the best data that you have to the investor. And down below, there's some startup that we got on board. It will appear like this, and we got some coffee chains, some interactive advertising platform, or some platform for SME to have them got more loyalty customer, and also some board game, like you can see here, musical school, or we have like application games, or even some deep tech company like simulation technology. They still use the platform to get more resources, especially investor. About angel investor, we got angel investor, and when we go down below, can you see the screen clearly? Okay, great. So let's go deeply into one startup here, which is a Review. Review is funded by a local angel, and they try to get more funding from foreign investor. And finally, they got one Chinese angel to join afterward. And alongside with that, they try to raise the new fund recently. And in here, we show on the information of review, enough information for the investor to make decision. And also based on that, they can talk to review rather than the traditional one. The traditional method is that you need to show things from to investor on the way. So it's like if you want to raise fund, you spend a lot of days talking about the same old story, sometimes very boring to the investor. Even you will bore yourself if that's the traditional way. So what we try here is that everything will be online, and the AI bots will try to track the behavior so that people can get enough information as soon as possible, and there will no much misunderstanding on the platform. So in here we can see review with the investment round is B-seed, and business type is B2B, B2C, go to market, and some overview of them, their valuation, and capital seeking, equity offering, the geography that they focus on, or the industry, and where are they. So what we try to do is that we try to have the whole region of Asia Pacific. That's why we try to get more geography, things like countries of incorporation, and where their team locate, when did they found their company, and the funding round, how long that we have until they got enough money, and the products. We integrate into the platform most of the key things that the investor need to know. The first one is very detailed information about the founding team, their expectation, and also their knowledge about the market and their technology. What is the difference in their technology, and what is the key barrier that they have in terms of technology? And the last one is that the resources that they did put into the platform. And we try to get people in touch with the founder. For example, here we got the founder of Review, and also they can interact with him, see what is his experience. Because the key thing that VC or early stage investor want to focus on is the founding team. So we try to make it very clear about the founders. And also what is their awards, the numbers of their team members, and at last we got some company videos so that they can show what they're doing. For now, the platform of Within is available for the one who register. We do not let the register open for anyone yet. So it's like for now, people can register through the company, and some of my team will have people to get on the list to jump into the platform. So it's like what we're trying to get more interaction, and also we try to get the ecosystem of investment more clear, more accurate, and more transparent is what we try to do here with the Within platform. So I will let it very quick because the platform is kind of complicated in the long run. So it's like some briefly things. If you want to get more information from that, I love to talk about that. And also Evie is still there to explain more. So thank you very much. And that's all on my part.
And then you might want to mute it. Mute? Okay. So now we will move to the elevator pitch. This is actually the most exciting part I like, because that, as everyone knows, Andian is a serial entrepreneur and also an angel investor. And he is actually also investing. So just anyone who actually like to get his attention, want to talk to him for more, and to consult with him for free, then just like it's a really great opportunity. And that's why we select a handful of the people in the slide today to do the elevator pitch. So what we're going to do is that we will call your number. I believe everyone got a number when you register. And then please wait for, like, for example, if the first one there and number 2 or 3, just please wait there because we only have 1 minute for each person. So, and now we are welcome to number one. 等一下，等我一下，我想想，所以等一下在这边 pitch， 然后你就是可以站这个定位这样子。
OK。
然后两位可能从那边，我觉得这样进来比较顺，这样子。
OK。
这样吗？然后好，那你需要麦克，给你麦克风好。
OK。
等我一下，我开始计时。滴滴滴滴滴滴滴滴滴滴。OK。17分钟。OK， 好，那 already， all set？ OK， 1、2、3，开始。
Unity actually is a cloud computing and AI technology company, and we develop something for people to do interactive exercise at any time, anywhere. So smart home fitness is the trend before and after COVID-19. So in order to deal with this demand, we're working with a leading broadband and telecom operator anywhere in the world. And so what's the problem? People stay at home, gym are expensive, and coach time is always limited. So our solution actually provides a new generation of interactive fitness, which is affordable, convenient, connected, and interesting, interactive. So why we are better? Because we do not need expensive equipment. We can always do it at home or any dedicated space. And actually it got personal, interactive, and data feedback in real time. The AI technology we are using is in two ways: to do the body detection and also the motion content creations. So this is all our technologies.
Thank you. 对，好，1、2、3，开始。
Hi, I'm Gary. I'm the founder and CEO of Astra. So our product GoFace is a mobile, it's a B2B SaaS mobile employment attendance system using face recognition. So basically the goal is to help employers reduce cost and increase efficiency and basically lower error rate and through a data-driven approach. So we have actually launched, we're suitable for all businesses, but are especially ideal for businesses with multiple various locations, with distributed and mobile employees, and also with mobile remote work remote management. So we officially launched in Q3 2020, and we have customers in Japan, Taiwan, and Indonesia so far. And we're looking for funding also for international expansion into more Southeast Asia, including Vietnam. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bruce from Greener. Greener is an IoT startup provides values to manufacturing small and medium enterprises. We're talking about digital transformation. Upgrading cost and talent retention are the main pain points for them. So we provide a 10 times more economical solution for them to digitalize their production line and help them become a data-driven enterprises. So it's an AWS-based SaaS for factories become a smart factories. Morning import and afternoon they can start to use. So now we have a case in process in Vienna now, and we are finding more partners to make manufacturing industry better and better together. And now, and we are planning to fundraise in 2022. Thank you so much.
下一位。可以吗？3、2、1，开始。
Hi, I'm Ava from Biomedicare. We are a medical technology company working with hospitals, doctors, and medical researchers to provide them with AI-based solutions to help them overcome the challenges they face when they are screening diseases. And our product and portfolios covers the whole flow of precision medicines, including AI disease screening kits, including patient management systems, and also including data analysis softwares, and also easy to deploy AI workstations. And we are currently planning to go into Vietnam this year to for the products of cervical cancer screening and osteoporosis screening. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Claire from Coding Bar. Coding Bar is a #1 education technology company in Taiwan. Now we are facing the impact of AI. And as I know, Vietnam government has changed their education policy to improve their teenagers' software capability to ready for the future transformation. However, the teaching resource will be shortage in the future, and Coding Bar is solving the problem. We built an entire new e-learning system on cloud. We have an AI teacher on our system and also interactive interface for students to practice at home. And we can also do the student data analysis. Okay, we believe we can bring our success story to Vietnam also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Charlie. I'm the founder of Lucky's scooter sharing platform. And actually what we are doing in Asia, we investigate that there are at least 350 million existing scooters in Asia. And our IoT solution can let every existing scooters, when they are done used, their idle time, we can let the scooters owner can share their scooters automatically without any intrusive modification need. And we are seeking for the funding that we want to choose a SEA market that soft landing and next year. Thank you.
Thank you. This will be the last one.
Hello everyone, my name is Elvin from iRetail. Our product 10 pound is a wearable smart thermometers. Only need apply onto your armpit. We can continuously monitor your body temperature. In many scenarios, people have to monitor your body temperature 24 hours. And so I just forgot. Can I just repeat again? Can I just restart? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
And
Take a break.
just because I didn't notice we have 1 minute each.
Yes. Go on. It takes a great courage to do that. Just like you guys are.
That's right.
When you're ready, we start.
Okay.
OK， 好，重新1分钟。好，3、2、1，开始。
Hello, my name is Elvin from iRetail. Our product 10 pound is a wearable smart thermometers. Applied onto your armpit, we can continuously monitor your body temperature. In many using scenarios, people have to monitor their body temperature 24 hours. So with 10 pound, we can reduce the caregivers' loading and provide the user's best using experience. Our target customers is not only for the individual consumer, but also for the professional institutions such as ICU, NICU, or postpartum care centers. Especially in these times, because of the COVID-19, we can visually reduce the risk of the infections for the first-line medical staff. So if you have any question or need any further information, please contact with us. Thank you.
Okay, so before we move on to the next session, I would like to let everyone's hand, please give yourself a great applause. It's crazy that it's a great courage for all of you to do it in English. It's the most uncomfortable language you can have. And yet, it's a 1 minute pitch. It's just time incentive and just like it's full with a lot of pressure. And I believe you guys all did it better than what I did before, because when you look at a camera, it's just that tricky. You need to just express yourself while just like everything got stuck in your head. And what I can share is that practice make perfect. So just like, I wish all of you get more chance to do that, because when you try to go out from Taiwan, this will be something you really need and to get people's attention. So now let's move on to the Q&A session. Before Andy, or Andy, you want to announce the result now, or you want to do it later?
Yeah, I think it's kind of clearly now. And thank you very much, everyone. The entrepreneurs is very brave of you to do such a thing. Your journey is quite long. You need more resources, but you're very brave to take that journey. And it's also braver when you try to use different languages, not your native languages, to try to pitch in the very short periods of time. I really appreciate that. And I myself control a fund, and also we love to spread more our fund into promising entrepreneurs. And also within, we represent some fund, VC fund, and group of angels to invest also. So I believe that the opportunity is kind of huge for the people that can find a good market and also the good way to try your ventures. So currently we work with Halo Business Angel Network, which is 600 angel from Ireland. And also I try a way to find good deal for them in this region, because their experience in Europe is kind of significant, but in here, in this region, is not very much. So I also try to get to know all of the entrepreneurs here. So I mean, the people that join and also talk to us. We also try to get you to the investor, even ourselves or somebody else. But that we try to do. And also for the people that I recognize that very promising, which is the number 1, the number 3, number 4, and number 6 is what we try to continue to talk with you and come to something more seriously. Thank you very much. Number 1, number 3,
1, 3,
4, and 6.
1, 3, 4, 6.
Okay.
Is that correct? 1, 3, 4, 6.
Yeah. So that's the 4 exactly.
Okay.
1, 3, 4, 6. The 14.
You're very generous, because I only asked for 3 hours and you offer 4. So let me repeat it in Chinese. 优利净联，然后是 Good Linker， 然后是Biomecare 跟灵胡子。所以这4位等一下会后请来找我，那我们再安排个时间。Then now we move to the Q&A session. Then I'm sure that maybe some of you have some question for Andian or even for me. Now feel free to raise a hand, and then we can just start a chat. So anyone have any questions? Just any question about?
I saw that there's a question like from Austin Turnerwin, right?
Okay. Carlos, that is actually the question for you.
All right.
I think Austin just asked that, is there any limitation for the ratio between the foreign employee and the local employee in Vietnam?
Sorry, can you repeat it again?
所以外籍的雇员跟台湾当地的雇员是有比例，因为新加坡有。
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, there are certain limitations for the foreign employees in Vietnam as well, and there are a lot of different visa types in Vietnam as well. So if you are going to hire or you want to bring your employee from Taiwan to Vietnam, you have to aware of this. But I will prefer that if you are going to enter this market, no matter it's Vietnam or Malaysia or other countries, you better to hire a local people, a real local people. Yeah, and you have to find a way to collaborate with them so that, yeah, I believe that would be the best way to enter that market.
Yeah, just like, or you hire someone like me, just like jumping from the region to region.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree with what Carlos said, right? Just like, because sometimes this kind of link back to my personal experience. So I am the one who like to do the field research a lot. It's like 田野调查. So what I mean is that actually I like to go to the market and really feel the market before I make any decision. So that's why to me, if you are just get sent to the new market, right? It's just like a new thing, and you surrounding yourself with a foreigner or the expat, you will not learn anything. The reason why I can share all of those with you earlier in that depth is that actually I was the minority in my company. So in our group, all the founders or the GM are the foreigner. So it's just like there was like English, Taiwanese, French, Polish, this kind of like a foreign MD. But under us, all of them are Vietnamese. So we become the minority in the company that we are forced to learn what is the local market is. If you go there and then you like lots of manufacturer, big brand, they just send 10, 20 people to the new market, to Vietnam, to China, to Indonesia, and you live out in the factory. You always hang out with Taiwanese. You don't even need to use English. Most of the time you speak Chinese to your staff, you speak Chinese to your colleague in Taiwan in local, then you don't feel anything. But if you really want to develop the market, just go there, be the minority, and then immerse yourself with a lot of local, that will be the best. Okay? And second thing is that actually I would like to ask a question. So Antiana, there's a question for you, right? So what, for the starting, what do you think, what is the most difficult thing to start the business in Vietnam? Can you kind of recall what you did back to 12 years ago when you started your first business? And what is the challenge there? I cannot hear you.
Okay. Yeah, actually for the startup, everything is challenging, I must say. And you have nothing. You do not have your product. You don't have enough people. You don't have enough capital. So a lot of things that we do not have. The things that we have, the only thing that we have is we need to act faster, because compared to other multinational company, we are nothing. So it's like we need to act very fast. So you try to build your MVP, you try to launch it into the market. Everything needs to be really fast. So back in the time when I started my first startup, which is an e-learning, the key thing that I feel is that try to make everything faster. So we try to work more than other people. So it's like spend a lot of time to work that days. And also add to that, the second thing is that when you work in some particular industry like e-learning, you need to have relationship. So building relationship is something very significant in this region, especially in Vietnam. So I must say that that's the two things that we try to do at the very first, to overcome the very first challenge. Work very hard, very fast, and build connections.
Question on what you shared about relationship, right? So we all know that going to Southeast Asia, relationship is the key. Also, relationship is something super vague that there's no one can really tell that, okay, well, how you kind of define a relationship. So can you share with us some tips that, okay, how you evaluate if this person is a legit or not in Vietnam? Because as a local, maybe you get more sensor than a foreigner. So I'd like to hear your thought on that too.
Yeah, some very nice question. I think it get right into the point. The first thing that we need to keep in mind when we try to get connections is that we need to stand out from the crowd. So it's like it's uneasy for decision makers in the capital fund, in VC, the one that can make decision to remember you if you are not outstanding. They may have some reason to remember, but at least you need to be outstanding. So recently in our data, we must say that the people that graduated from top school or even from some Silicon Valley companies is what we try to invest in, because we find that they're very significant. But most of the time, we also have a look at somebody that got interesting characteristic, and also somebody that can add value directly into the company. So we must say that from the word connections, it also comes from yourself first. You need to stand out of the crowd. It's the first thing. You need to be very clear from what you're doing, make it very fast, very quickly, and then you got attention. That's the first thing. The second thing is that building relationship with the investor is very hard because they do not have much time. So you need to keep everything very straightforward, and also you know what they want. I must say, from my point of view, all of the VC and the fund manager, what they want is that asset from you. So it's like they invest in you, they keep the money for at least 3 or 7 years, and then they need to exit. So you need to, boost the valuation until they feel that, okay, it's the right time to exit. You make money for them. So it's like all of the fund manager, they need to look at the numbers and they need KPI to be made. So it's like a connection in that word is that you need to stand out of your crowd, and also you need to stay to keep the relationship. It's more like art. It's more like art. You need to make it very detailed and a lot of things to focus on. But one last thing is that the relationship with the government, the political decisions makers, is more difficult. So for now, hang out with those people in Vietnam is something that can give you more information, but it needs a set of skills, and also it needs more information that you can see the government name. So the politicians, they need to follow those things. So it's like for now in Vietnam, technology 4.0 is what people focus on. So if you work in technology, it's easier to reach to the politicians. And with the politician, you got more information, and you can get to more deals and a lot of things like that. But mostly it's the information. So in short, something that I mentioned is that stand out on the ground. Is it an art? It needs patience. It needs details. That's what we try to say in this.
Thank you, Anjan. That's really a great insight. Because actually, I want to add on something, right? So in Taiwan or in all the networking environment, and you go to introduce yourself, commonly you do it like, hello, I'm Evie, I'm just like doing this, and I'm working for that company, and I have experience. I'm currently a position of da-da-da-da, I'm in charge of da-da-da-da. Okay. So commonly, we all share the experience, and after this, do you still remember any of those? Just like if there's like, okay, there's a one round of introduction, commonly we go to a networking event, right? And then everyone introduces themselves. After that, commonly you don't remember much, right? You don't remember, commonly you just like, okay, you can maybe link the name to the person, you remember their face, but what do they do? And what is the key highlight? Probably no, just like, because everyone kind of say something. So I have one trick is that you always need to say something really special or do something very special, sometimes even accidentally. For example, now I remember Alvin, because that he actually redo it. So it's like, okay, Alvin, it's great. It's like, it's Alvin, and then I remember what he's doing, right? And then you always create something for the memory point to the people where it's like, oh, he's that person and he does what. And it's just like, when you think about your introduction line, just like try to make it more fun or just like some catching point. in your job and what is it doing, then maybe something special to people, right? So commonly I tell people that, hey, I'm Indonesian. Then it's like, oh, Indian. After that, no one remember me, but it's like, oh yeah, that one is from Indonesia. That's why Eric's have been, repeating again and again. It's like, yeah, look at me as a thing about Indonesia. So try to find something special of you or your company that make people to make the memory linkage. And there's one question for Andian, is that in your opinion, are investors more willing to take risks in investing during the online COVID area? Or, well, there's one thing, I'll share my experience first. That actually, from the data we see, and just like I think all the statistics in Vietnam, actually in the second half of 2020, everything get back to normal. Just like all the investment and the case, and people get used to evaluate startup online, because I used to raise back in the time, right? And then just like all those investors told me that, yeah, we're kind of back to normal now, because that, Vietnam is quite okay. And even for the international investor from in Vietnam, outside Vietnam, commonly in Singapore, they were just like, yeah, we're just, meet you online and just like from Silicon Valley too. So to this, I think if you are in the booming market, the market size is right, the economic growth is right, the opportunity is there. I think in my personal experience, the investor is quite, active on that. But I would love to hear what Andian thinks too.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's the question that we also ask ourselves. Should we take risks in this era, this COVID era? So first of all, we need to look deeply into the core of the industry, the investment and also venture investment industry. Is we raise money from most of the other funds. So there's two ways to have money to invest, right? The first one is that the money by yourself. You can invest in anything that you want, but you cannot leave it there in the bank. That's a waste of money. But the second thing is that you raise funds from other funds. So it's like most of the time, back in the time when I managed the fund in Europe, we take it from the pension fund. We take 10% from the pension fund of European Union, and then we use that to invest in ventures. And also we take from university endowments fund. We also take from high net worth families to get the fund, the whole access that under our management. Okay, after that, we use that fund to invest. So the time that we keep the fund in our under our management, we do not release it into the startup yet. That time we lose the money. So in this point, we need to try to release the money at least in the first 3 years that we manage that fund. You will see that typically most of the fund will last for 10 years. So the first 3 years we need to invest. And the next one, the next year, the year 4, and we think about asset from our very first investment. So this point of time, anyway, people need to do most of the things online because there's no way to travel, right? So it's like we do the sourcing online. We try to do part of our screening online. The DD, we try as much as possible to do it online. And but the whole thing, the whole process will not be online. It's just hybrid. Some part be online, some part we need to do it offline. We need to do quarantine in where we try to invest. But one more thing, one last thing very important is that in this pandemic era, some company, if they smart enough, they raise fund to do M&A. That's very great things to do because it's like you will get more fund from the VC, and the price of your competitors or the company that add more value to you in the COVID time will be really low. So we got into some deals with local funds that we try to get them on board and use their money to buy some company in the pandemic time, because in the pandemic time, their price somehow get very down. So it's like it's some practice that we can see, raise some fund to do M&A, to buy out some other company. That time will happen sometime in the pandemic. It's not happen all the time. When the people, when the world is so stable, there's no way to do some technique like that.
Now, okay. How about next year? Actually, now I feel like the pandemic is almost over for Taiwan and Vietnam, right? And we're all expecting the travel bubble or business bubble or whatever bubble after the vaccine. And we feel like everything can go back to normal in hopefully second half of the year. So what do you think about the startup investment market, or like startup ecosystem in 2021 in the second half? What kind of thing that we can expect from the market?
In my opinion, in the near future, the fund managers will try to raise more. That's from the data we can see, especially from, for example, the Enterprise of Ireland, the fund, very great fund from the government of Ireland. They are the fund that released the most in the year of 2020. They call for fund managers to pitch for the fund. So they are funds of funds. So they invest in most of the funds in the VC world in Europe. So the first thing is that the fund managers will try to raise more after the pandemic, because they need more fuel to push it into the startup, because the demand will grow very fast after the pandemic, especially for countries like a European country or America. They will have more demand, especially in F&B and tourism. That's the first thing. The second thing is that in the near future, we will look for something that can, some startup that can solve the very immediate problem. For example, some startup that can solve the shortest of the container, for example, the shortest of container that on the freight to ship all over the world, and something else that can be fixed very fast in the near future. But in the further future, we must see that there will be more fund that look for some impact. So they can be VC fund, but they add more impact into their outcome. And also they try to build sustainability, because the world have faced that this time we are vulnerable in the pandemic. So VC fund and also other funds will try to find more solution for the next pandemic. Who knows, right? So that's for the further future. So sustainability is something that the fund will look for. Currently, we work with a fund in Singapore. It's founded by some senior United Nations staff, and they focus on sustainability alongside with VC. So I believe that in the future, there will be sustainability VC that focus more on sustainable things.
Got it, thank you. Actually, there is one thing I want to echo, ESG 就是 environment， 然后环境、社会跟治理这个议题，其实这一年在台湾很红。ESG 的environment, society and government. And I would say that in Vietnam, there is actually, especially, I'm not sure if everyone is aware that, is that Vietnam is an eco-friendly country. So compared with my hometown Indonesia, you see a lot of plastic rubbish everywhere. You go to the beach, you see a lot of bottle there, the plastic bag, everything, right? And just like, yes, I feel really bad on that. But for Vietnam, actually, Vietnam is super eco-friendly. You go to Vietnam, you see the straw, 吸管, it's all bamboo or rice. And just like there's a lot way less plastic bag people use. People use a lot of recycled material there. So I mean that if your business can somehow link with that, because Vietnam is have a really high level of awareness on this kind of like a sustainability and eco-friendly business. So I mean that try to attach that with this kind of like idea. I mean, on the marketing side, that will be really nice to brand yourself. And I think that in the end, we have 5 minutes for the questions. So anyone have any questions now? I've been always asking. No, no questions. Okay, there'll be, or someone would like to share that the top barrier you have in mind now when entering in Vietnam. What is the imagine like you arrival there? 就是你想象中，就是你要进去最难的事情是什么？就是你可以问出来，然后我们或许可以回答。有人想要，就是不管你现在进去了还是没有进去，但你一定有想象中，就哦，就是这个是我觉得我现在必须要克服的东西。那就是你有没有觉得是什么东西？那或许你问出来，或许它没有那么难可以克服。有人想要分享吗？好，我委屈大家，就是大家就是一个很不好意思的。Okay, I'm sorry that there is a thing, right? So just in Taiwan, people are pretty shy. So I was just like, normally when you ask question, if you have any question and people say I don't have any question, then after the end of the meeting they will come to me. So it's super common. It's happening in Taiwan. People are that's why I force them to pitch one-on-one, and that's already a great thing. The greatest courage they can have of this week or maybe of this month. They need to go back and rest for a while. So I would say that let's call it to the end. I will leave, let's say 1 minute for online guests. I'm not sure if there's any question. If you do that, please raise it now, or we will end the call for in 2 minutes. Or Andian, do you have any last thing you want to share with the audience today?
Yeah, I believe that it's a very great time to have a chat with you guys and also the fruitful discussion. But I believe that it will not carry enough value. We can follow on, absolutely. So it's like from EV, from GT time, we also got our connection, and we can sit down to discuss more, and we try to add more value to what you're trying to do. Again, you guys that are entrepreneurs or even investor is very brave anyway. So we need to add more value to that. I saw the some other question on the chat.
Yeah. There's a last question for you actually. What is more important to invest in, the product or the people behind it?
Yeah, we actually, it's also depend on what you will see as a philosophy of the fund. So all of the fund will found on their philosophy. They can be women oriented. They also can be technological oriented, and some fund they just focus on mobile phone application or something. So it's also very depend on what they look for, but depend on your questions. I must say as it's also depend on the stage of the ventures of the startup. So if the startup is in a very early stage, mostly we look for the right founders. Because at that point of time, you do not have the dominant design of your product yet. At that point of time, your product is not tested by the market. You do not have revenue. You do not have the right model. So at that very point of time, we look for the people. But alongside, when you got your Series A level, I mean, you got revenue, you even got profit, you got asset of your company. Okay, we look for that also together with the people. So it's like alongside with the development of your company, is so many ways to define what we can focus on. And most of the time, if you are early stage, focus on the people. How good is the people? We look for the founding team of 3 or 4 members that can share the knowledge and also share the risk with each other
and also help each other to grow. That's what we look for. They need to be leaders. They need to focus on what they're trying to do. It's very detailed, and their characteristic is what the investor will do due diligence when they have a look at it. So it's like most of the time, the people first, and then the product and the market, and also the potential of the future that they can asset from your market, from your ventures.
Okay, thank you. So I think if no one has further questions, let's call. If you have any questions, raise it now, or we end in 3, 2, 1. Okay, then I will call it the end for today's event, and thank you for all to join us online, offline. Special thanks to Andy and our team in Vietnam on behind the stage and running around, especially for Digitime. So just like, please give our round of applause to our partner. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. See you sometime, and good luck.
Yeah, see you soon. 好了，所以如果大家就是有问题想要用中文问我的话，可以问，或者是可以自由交流一下。那我们大概可以在这边再待一个15-20分钟这样子，这样好吗？